Hi guys, it's Ben from TRX Space Station. How's everybody doing? It's been rather an amusing week for me, reading all of the comments and the reviews and watching some of the videos of people really complaining about Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. It's not a game that I've got, but I am familiar with the From Software games. But it is a game that sparked off some very interesting debate and sparked off a lot of very whingy videos and comments about how the game's too hard. And I've been following some of the articles on Kotaku and seeing some of the responses in the YouTube community. And one of the things that's come up is this discussion around whether every video game these days should have an easy mode. And there's been a lot of video responses about this topic, and I found it very interesting because this is something that my opinions have changed on maybe over the last couple of years. Now, I tried to play the first Dark Souls game and really couldn't get into it. Something about the formula didn't appeal to me. I didn't really enjoy playing the same parts of the game repeatedly to try to get slightly better. To me, I was always a big fan of roguelikes, but one of the things that kept me coming back to roguelikes is the fact that it's actually randomized, so it's different every time you play. So it's a very different set of thinking playing the Dark Souls games, where it's actually about playing the same part of the game over and over again and somehow, well, trying not to become overwhelmed by that, but actually just to be persistent and to play the game at a different pace. I didn't like it, but then I bought Neo maybe a couple of years ago, and that was a real learning curve of a game, and it's one that I actually gave up on back in the day because I just found it way too hard. I've now come back to Neo after watching Sekiro because I thought, you know what, I wanted to get Sekiro, but I kind of resisted that impulse because I had Neo, which is, yeah, they're not the same, but it's kind of a similar vein of game, and I've got an awful lot better at it, and I've really been enjoying it. I've got quite some ways into it now, and I think it's a good example for me because it kind of shows how some games are sort of about persistence, and the game demands that you take the time to figure it out. You can't just rush through it. It requires patience, and it also you invest a lot in the game because you know, when you die, you only have one chance to get your stuff back, and that creates a certain tension, a certain beauty to the game, which I think is just incredible. There's a big you know, argument and a bit of a meme about Get Good, where people whinge about the games on Reddit, and someone will always put the answer of Get Good, because the solution to it, the way around it, is to get better at it, and I have a real respect for these games because it forces you to improve and to think your way through problems and to be persistent, to focus on some of the minutiae, small things like skills or small changes to your armor, and things like Neo can make a massive difference, as can your combat style, and it encourages you to slow the pace down and think very carefully about what you're doing. It's funny, but recently there was a video by Happy Console Gamer talking about RPGs in particular, about whether games are getting too easy, and I thought that was a really interesting point. I played through Dragon's Quest XI and Final Fantasy 15, and both of those games, Square Enix games, felt really badly dumbed down. Like, there wasn't any challenge, you hardly ever died, and for the most part of both of those games you were just drifting through. Nothing was getting you. Maybe towards the end of Dragon Quest XI and some of the post-game stuff, it got a little bit more challenging, but it was bizarre how little thinking and how little challenge there was. And I was like, I do not want my games to just be a complete walk in the park. I want to feel like I'm actually achieving something, rather than just if you play it, you are going to get there in the end. I want to really feel like I have to improve and have to think and have to try. And that's something that I feel like many modern games are missing out on. I know a lot of people said Kingdom Hearts 3 as well has been really too easy. And this is some of the things that are appealing about retro games, is the fact that they demand of you skill, they demand repeated attempts, they demand that you get better at them, and that's one of the things that was always there, you know, from childhood. Video games that weren't just going to be a walk in the park. And I think some of us have just lost that perspective, we've got too used to how things are these days, or have been for the last 3, 4, 5 years, where basically we expect to always be able to instantly walk through a game. And I think that the expectations that we got now have affected people's sort of ability to play difficult games, and it's caused this big backlash against Sekiro. It's a shame that our attention spans have got so short, and I just had to sort of recreate and reinvent the way I was thinking about Neo, because you are still, sure, if you're not progressing, if you're dying at a boss over and over again, you are still playing the game. You have to learn to enjoy that as gameplay and not always be expecting to be getting to the next step straight away. I started to learn to enjoy playing through that level again, to get better, to get back to where I was, and to not think of it in terms of time wasted, but it's still time playing the game, it's still time having fun. It's just thinking differently about how quickly you expect to see new stuff. It slows the pace down. So I personally think that no, not every game should have an easy mode. It's very easy to do your research these days on YouTube or on the internet and see which games are going to be balls hard. I think very few people will have picked up a Dark Souls game or a Sekiro game, thinking it's going to be a piece of piss and then be surprised. You know these games are going to be difficult. So if you're the kind of person that wants to kick back after work and doesn't want to face a challenge and just wants to unwind, then don't buy Sekiro and don't buy Dark Souls games. Pick something else. Pick Dragon Quest XI or Kingdom Hearts 3. It's a different expectation. I don't really believe that anybody's going to buy these games and be suddenly shocked at the difficulty. If you want to, you can avoid it. I don't believe that every game should have a casual mode, because sometimes the difficulty and the challenge is linked to the character. In Neo, for example, to me, it wouldn't feel like you're up against a real physical battle. It wouldn't feel like you're in a samurai setting if you could just whiz through absolutely everything without having to think about it. A samurai has to be careful, a samurai has to dodge, and if you mess up, you will be severely punished. And it could really degrade the integrity of a game sometimes to make an easy mode. There is that real feeling of challenge. You are only one man taking on vast numbers of enemies, and I think that it makes sense that it should be easy to die in that setting. And some games really cannot just be changed. And I've seen an article on Kotaku that no game has ever been ruined by an easy mode. I disagree. I think that it's about integrity. It's about a specific type of game, the specific type of setting, specific type of difficulty that you can just easily avoid if you want to play something else. I don't think every single game has to be for you. I don't think every single game has to be completable. And I think that we just need to rethink about what we expect from our games. I know there's so many games to play these days. I know there's so many things to see. But try and go back to how it was when you were a kid and you could only buy one game every 4 to 5 weeks, or sometimes every few months. And try and think about Sekiro and Neo or Dark Souls just like that. Slow it down. Don't expect to be playing anything else for a long while. And concentrate and get in there. That's what it's all about. I think our attention spans and our expectations have all changed an awful lot, and I like the fact that From Software and games like Neo, etc., Dark Souls series, are trying to reset that bar and go back to something else, be refreshing and be bold enough to not have to always want to cater to the masses. But these games are so damn popular anyway. I mean, they must be doing something right. There must be an appetite for difficulty out there. So no, I don't think that every game should have an easy mode. I really love and respect From Software. I love and respect the Soulsborne type of games for just being what they are and not constantly curbing things to fit in with how people think things should be. I like that and respect that integrity. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think every game should have an easy mode? Are some games just too hard? Is it unfair? Should you be able to complete everything you play? Let me know. Take care, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.